The dreaded Super Bowl hangover has hit the Philadelphia Eagles offense like a ton of bricks. Through Week 13, Philly ranks 15th league-wide in EPA per offensive play and 19th in both yards per play and points per game. And things only seem to be getting worse. The Eagles haven't scored more than 21 points in a game since Week 8. The most glaring disparity between the Eagles offense during their Super Bowl run and this current offense is their lack of production on the ground. Last year, Saquon Barkley became the 9th player in league history to run for over 2,000 yards, but this year, through 13 weeks, he has just 740. Philadelphia's rushing attack, on a per-play basis, is producing at a level nowhere near that of last year. They're averaging just 4 yards per carry, nearly a full yard lower than their 2024 average. They're also averaging negative 0.06 EPA per rush, which is a huge drop-off from their positive 0.08 EPA per rush in 2024. In terms of scheme and design, the run game isn't all that different from what it was last year. Philadelphia's distribution of run designs hasn't changed much. They still major in zone scheme runs from the shotgun and pistol, but mix in a healthy dose of gap scheme designs like counter, power, and duo. The main reason why they're not producing on the ground like they were last year is because of injuries to the offensive line, along with the departure of offensive guard Mekhi Becton in free agency. Becton's replacement, Tyler Steen, just hasn't matched Becton's level of play this year. But more importantly, Landon Dickerson and Jurgens have taken a step back due to injuries. And the only member of this offensive line who was meeting the standard this year was Lane Johnson, but he hasn't played since Week 11 and is expected to miss at least one more game. Despite the fact that Philadelphia's run game is inefficient, they still run the ball a lot. Through Week 13, the Eagles rank 7th in run rate with a rate of 47%. Running the ball this much inefficiently can be fine, because defenses will stack the box with single high safety shells, which are susceptible to explosive gains through the air. Through Week 13, the Eagles face single high safety shells on over 49% of their first and second down snaps, which is the 4th highest rate in the league. But they've struggled to exploit those single high looks with early down passes. The Eagles call play action on just 12% of their pass attempts, which is the 3rd lowest play action call rate league-wide. And their play action calls are not particularly effective because of the way this offense is designed. Over 75% of Philadelphia's offensive snaps are taken from the shotgun, and run fakes from the shotgun are not nearly as effective as run fakes from under center. The objective of most play action designs is to hold second level defenders down with the run fake, then to exploit the space that those defenders can't reach with receivers. But run fakes from the shotgun are not very effective at holding defenders. Take this play from Week 12 as an example. Dallas deploys a single high safety shell pre-snap, which Philly looks to exploit with a deep shot concept off of play action. The route concept calls for a deep clear out route from the number 2 up top to stretch the post safety vertically, along with a pylon route from the number 1 down low to occupy the wide corner to that side, and a crossing route from A.J. Brown, aligned in the number 1 spot up top, to get into the space over the second level defenders. Look at those second level defenders at the mesh point. They barely react to this play action fake because it just isn't a very convincing fake. And that makes this read much more difficult for Jalen Hurts. He could probably fit this ball into A.J. Brown over the middle, but the depth of the second level defenders makes this a tight window throw. And because Brown's route is so deep, the backside wide corner is there to make a play on the ball if it's thrown late. According to Sumer Sports, play action calls from under center are much more effective than those from the shotgun. This year, under center play action calls have averaged almost a full yard more, and in terms of EPA, they're 3 times more valuable on average. They're also 66% more likely to produce touchdowns, with an overall touchdown rate of 6.3%. The solution to Philly's early down problems isn't as simple as calling more play action, because the way they call play action prevents them from enjoying the benefits of a well-designed play action attack. And this offensive staff's lame attempts to use misdirection only make matters worse. Here, for example, in Week 11 against Detroit, Philadelphia faces 2nd and 7, and the defense presents a clear man coverage look, with a linebacker, Jack Campbell, lined up opposite a tight end, Dallas Goedert, out wide. This is a situation where the staff should be able to create easy yards with scheme, and they attempt to do so with a swing screen to Saquon Barkley on the strong side. They run play action at the mesh point with DeVonta Smith, which is intended to hold Alex Anzalone, the man responsible for Barkley, while the center, Jurgens, gets out wide to lead block for Barkley. But Anzalone doesn't bite on the run fake at all because DeVonta Smith doesn't take handoffs. Smith has literally never taken a handoff in his 5-year NFL career. The effort to get this ball to Barkley in the flat could not have been more telegraphed. and Anzalone met him there to hold the play to an 8-yard loss. Taking nearly 80% of snaps from the shotgun is not conducive to a balanced offensive attack in this league. Philadelphia isn't the only team that does it. In fact, there are 8 teams that operate from under center less than 25% of the time, but the majority of those teams do so to replicate a college-style offense that eases the transition to pro ball for their young quarterback. Cincinnati and Kansas City are, of course, exceptions, but those offenses have quarterbacks whose playstyles favor a unique approach to such an extent that they find their balance in different ways. The Eagles were so talented last year that they were able to be efficient on early downs despite this foundational limitation in the way their offense is designed. But because of all the injuries up front this year, their early down efficiency has taken a giant step in the wrong direction. Now, Philadelphia has tried to find some balance by going under center, but their personnel is so conditioned to a shotgun exclusive call sheet that the execution on under center play calls is downright poor. When running the ball from under center, Philly ranks second to last in yards per carry at 2.8 and third to last in positive play rate. When Jalen Hurts drops back from under center, the cumulative numbers are a bit better because of a couple of explosive plays in Week 7 against Minnesota, but their positive play rate of just 37% ranks 29th in the league. Take a look at this play from Week 12 against Dallas. It's 2nd and 7, and the Cowboys present a pre-snap single high safety shell with press man coverage on the outside. Philly called a double cross concept off of play action from under center, and this concept is virtually unstoppable against single high coverages because it puts the post safety in a bind. If the safety takes the high cross, the low cross will be open. If the safety takes the low cross, the high cross will be open. Post-snap, the post safety initially gets depth, which gets A.J. Brown free over the middle. But the pass protection collapses. Cam Jurgens blows his assignment, and Saquon Barkley can't be very helpful in stopping the rusher's momentum, so Jalen Hurts is hit as he throws, which results in an errant ball over Brown's head. This happened multiple times in Week 11 against Detroit, too. The offensive line just can't execute these hard play-action concepts, so it's hard to blame the Eagles' offensive staff for not calling them. Philadelphia's inability to stay ahead of the sticks on early downs has brought about tons of must-pass situations this year, either in the form of 3rd and longs or 2-minute drills. Those situations came up frequently in Week 13 against Chicago, and both Jalen Hurts and Philly's offensive staff were woefully unprepared for how Chicago approached those passing downs defensively. Chicago sent all-out cover zero blitzes 6 times in this game, and on those dropbacks, Jalen Hurts went 3 for 6 for just 17 yards and converted just 1 of 3 third down pass attempts. Philadelphia's answers for these all-out blitzes were beyond frustrating to watch. This 3rd and 8 from early in the second quarter was Chicago's first cover zero call of the night. The front side of Jalen Hurts' read here is the choice corner combination up top. It tells Jahan Dotson to run a corner route from the number 2 spot, and DeVonta Smith to run a choice route from the number 1 spot. Smith can break either outside, inside, or back to the ball based on how he reads the leverage of the secondary defenders post-snap. It looks like Hurts read this as if Smith was going to break back to the ball, while Smith obviously read it as an inside break, which caused Hurts to leave the ball behind him. This is a great example of why choice routes are a terrible answer to cover zero calls, because the quarterback has to make an immediate decision. There's no time to interpret the leverage of the defensive backs. Smith and Hurts were not on the same page here, and the result was an incompletion on 3rd down. Hurts has also taken some heat for not seeing Dallas Goedert running free over the middle, but against a cover zero call with a free runner coming at him, Hurts is never going to get to the backside of the concept. That would be asking to get sacked. Hurts made the right decision given the situation, and probably would have connected with Smith if the two had been on the same page. I'll also give the coaching staff a pass for this one because it was a pretty well-designed call, and it was the first time they had seen it all game. Kevin Patullo had a much better answer the next time Chicago presented a heavy blitz look. The call is mesh, which tells the number 2 receivers on both sides of the formation to run intersecting shallow routes, designed to force defensive backs to work through traffic and man coverage. Post-snap, A.J. Brown is open underneath with a leverage advantage over Kevin Byard, the man responsible for him. But for whatever reason, Hurts targets Dallas Goedert instead. Just an inexplicable decision that results in another 3rd down incompletion. Late in the 4th quarter, every down was a passing down because Philadelphia was down 2 scores. So Chicago started sending these blitzes on early downs. Here, for example, it's 1st down and Chicago sends everybody. Philly's answer is a sight adjust route from DeVonta Smith in the slot, which tells him to get his eyes on the ball when the man in front of him blitzes. But the ball just isn't out fast enough. Hurts takes too long to identify the blitz, which allows Jaquan Brisker to trigger on the route and hold the play to a gain of just 1 yard. Philadelphia finally found an answer to these blitzes the next time Chicago sent one, which was on this third down with about 5 minutes left in the game. The concept calls for max protection, which keeps both the back and the tight end in pass protection, and an out-go combination up top. It tells the number 1 to run a go, and the number 2 to run a deep out at the sticks. Post-snap, the blitz finally gets blocked up, and Jalen Hurts hits DeVonta Smith on the out route for 12 yards and a conversion on third down. Chicago went back to it on this first down a few plays later, and Hurts got it out a little quicker to DeVonta Smith on the hitch for a gain of 4. On the following play, the Bears called it again, and Hurts sailed the ball over Jahan Dotson's head on a slant against heavy inside leverage. One thing that all of those plays had in common is they were called from 2x2 sets, except for the first one, which was called from empty. There was a really easy way to get the Bears out of these cover 0 calls, which was to put 3 receivers on one side. Chicago wouldn't play cover 0 against 3x1 because that would require them to put a wide corner on an island against A.J. Brown, which is asking to get mossed. When Philadelphia finally got into that 3x1 formation, that's exactly what happened. Chicago called man-free cover 1, and the safety cheated to Brown's side, but he couldn't get there quickly enough. Hurts hit Brown on his back shoulder for a gain of 17. But it took a desperate situation for Kevin Patullo to get the ball to his all-pro receiver, which is a problem. The bigger problem is that he didn't have any answers to cover 0, or at least none that Jalen Hurts would properly execute. If your quarterback can't work the middle of the field against a heavy blitz, call a tunnel screen. Keep 7 in protection and send DeVonta Smith on a deep post. Don't wait until late in the fourth quarter to throw a fade to A.J. Brown. It just seems so insane that an offense with 2 world-class receivers and a great deep ball passer is limited to sight adjustments against cover 0. As much frustration as Patullo's play calling inspires, I think firing him at this point in the season would be a mistake. It seems like this offensive line's best days are behind them, so I don't see a way back to sustainable efficiency on offense without major changes in the way this unit is structured. But major schematic changes are best undertaken during the offseason, not in December. This team is 8-4 with a great defense, and Lane Johnson's set to come back before the playoffs. As bad as it's looked over the past few weeks, it's hard to believe that an offense with so much receiving talent won't figure something out down the stretch. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you enjoyed, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach 60,000 before the end of the season. But that's all I've got for today, so until next time, take care.